Haaland's the best player in the league. He's playing the weakest defence in the league. These are 10 reasons why I think you should triple captain Erling Haaland in game week 6. Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well and you're looking forward to a very exciting week in FPL. Of course, lots of chips in play. Many are on Wildcard. And if you're on Wildcard, you obviously can't triple captain. If you're not on Wildcard, I think this is an opportunity that you just have to go for. And I've got 10 brilliant reasons and evidence and data and stats to back up all 10 of those points as to why Erling Haaland is a legit option. There are one or two negatives to triple captaincy that we will discuss as well. But first, let me just show you the options between now and game week 19 for triple captain Haaland versus triple captain Salah. If we take the good home fixtures, home only, because I think when we triple captain, it's always home, then we can see Salah has opportunities in game week 12. He plays Forest and Sunderland in 14. But when he plays Wolves and Leeds in 18 and 19, he'll be at AFCON. Whilst Haaland, there are opportunities outside of game week 6. In 13, he plays Leeds. In 15, he plays Sunderland. And in 17, he plays West Ham. But I don't like those weeks as much. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do hit the like button. But if you're going to do one thing today, if you learn anything from today's video, then I think you should perhaps think about subscribing to the channel. So thank you guys, as always, for the support. Click that subscribe button if you fancy. But first, let me go through those reasons I like. And we'll start with number one. We've just seen that schedule, right? Reason number one to triple captain Erling Haaland is that schedule. And when we go through those fixtures in more detail, I'm going to give you reasons why. So, Mo Salah, game week 12. Let's do Salah's fixtures first. He plays Forest, which is great, versus Ange Postecoglou. I like that very much. Postecoglou defences. It's at Anfield, but it's the first game after the international break, and I just sometimes worry with first game after the international break that teams lack a little bit of rhythm. You can obviously get injuries in the international break, and you're not necessarily hitting the ground running after your players are flying back from all over the world. In 14, I like the Sunderland game very much for Salah, but Sunderland are actually better than many expected. And 3 days before that, they play West Ham. So they've got a fixture 3 days before in London, an away trip. Erling Haaland in 17, he plays West Ham. But by 17, West Ham will have a new manager that will probably be much better defensively. Let's say Nuno takes charge of West Ham. They're going to start keeping clean sheets. So I don't love the West Ham fixture in 17. If West Ham was in 6, you would absolutely go there. Sunderland in 15, well, he's got Fulham away 3-4 days before in the midweek fixtures, which is a Premier League game. Again, another reason that turns me off Sunderland there. Game week 13, the Leeds game's lovely. Haaland was born in Leeds. There's a bit of narrative there, and I do like 13. My only slight issue there is Leverkusen at home 4 days before, midweek. That turns me off a little bit, but I do like 13 as my second favourite option here. But in game week 6, it's Burnley. He's fresh. No midweek fixture for Erling Haaland. Surely he doesn't play against Huddersfield. I am recording this before the Huddersfield game. I think it's very unlikely he's going to play in that one. So let's assume he has the rest versus Huddersfield. I like that very much. He goes in before the fixtures are too congested, like they will be when we look at those other weeks. Game week 6, he's still going to be relatively fresh, or still very fresh. So with that in mind, I think reason number one is the schedule. And reason number two is Salah's lack of good home games. We've just looked at them. It's not brilliant for Mo Salah, is it? You've got game week 12 and 14 as your only two real options if you want to go for a home game. Of course, there are other options you can consider. You consider Isak in the other weeks, Cole Palmer when he's fit, Saka, Gyökeres, sure. I'm sure I want it to be Haaland or Salah, and I'm sure I want it to be a home game against a new promoted team, or Forest possibly, or Wolves possibly, or West Ham possibly. It's those 6. The opponent's defensive data, though. Let's look at Burnley, right? Because we're saying, oh, the Burnley's a great fixture. Is it? Well, let me show you why it's such a good fixture. This is all from Fantasy Football Scout, all the data I show you in today's video. And I'll leave a QR code on screen throughout the video for Scout. If you're not a member, this is the sort of stuff you get access to. And if you scan this QR code, you get an extra discount by signing up with my link in the description or my QR code. So look, Burnley so far, shots conceded, 95 in 5 games. That's like 20 shots a game almost. 19 shots a game. That's mad. Brentford's second worst with 70. No defence is conceding the shots or the big chances or the expected goals as Burnley. So Burnley are absolutely on the ropes defensively. And many will say, oh, they can park the bus, they could do it well. If City score early, the floodgates will open. Of course, game state dependent. It could be a tight 0-0 or a 1-0. We saw them against Liverpool. It was a last-minute pen for Salah. That was at Turf Moor, by the way. Burnley away from home aren't going to be as good. And if Liverpool score early in that game, it's a very different football match. Can Man City score in the first 45 minutes? I think they can, and I think it could be a very, very fun football match for Erling Haaland and co. This statistically is the worst defence right now. So again, it's perfect, right? It's Haaland at home against the worst defence with a midweek rest so far. Brilliant. Oh, and then we need to look at the player form. So Erling Haaland right here, right now. I mean, look, Guardiola recently said Erling's been incredible since the start of the season. He's better than ever. And when you look at his numbers, I would argue that's bang on. I think this is the best we've seen Haaland in a Man City shirt. You take the goal versus Arsenal and you say, does he score that goal? Does he create that opportunity for himself? Is he that hungry to get on the end of that? Is he that good in his hold-up play and his link-up play with Reinders? Does that happen in years gone by? That goal against Arsenal, Saliba and Gabriel, he rarely gets changed from. I would argue he doesn't score that last season. Maybe the season before he does, but last season he doesn't. And I think with that, we're just seeing a super hungry Erling Haaland. Look, he's now a little bit bruised, right? They're not coming off the back of Champions League wins and Premier League wins like they have been in previous years. He's not even coming back off the Golden Boot. Like, he's got a little bit, point to prove, he's got nothing to prove. That wouldn't be fair to say. But he's absolutely got his back up, and we like a fiery Haaland. Right, so we're going to get to the Golden Boot chat in a minute because I think that's an important one. So, look, player form's important. The rest of us is Huddersfield, I think, is important. It is worth noting, this is why I think he gets the rest. So Guardiola said at the end of the Arsenal game, at the end, he was exhausted, a lot of pain in his back. He was suffering the last few days. I mean, suffering the last few days to go and put in that performance, wow, it's so demanding, and he will take a break a little bit. And he will take a break a little bit to the last games. What he meant was he got 75 minutes subbed because he had 3 matches in 8 days. What this niggle on his back shows us is he can absolutely manage it. He can absolutely play with it. That's why I don't think he features versus Huddersfield. And I expect a full week on the training ground / off is going to be super, super beneficial. Some might be put off by this. I'm not. I think this just means you get a rest. He's going to be so hungry for game week 6. I've got no doubt. So, of course, that's important, the rest versus Huddersfield. But then let's look at the team expected goals. Are Man City functioning as a team? And how does Erling Haaland perform? Again, it's all from the Scout members area. Guys, do hit that subscribe button, by the way, if you're new around here. Drop a comment if you've got a question. Thank you all for the likes, as always. So I filtered this by non-penalty expected goals so far this season because pens are a little bit less predictable, right? So I like looking at non-pen XG. But if you look at XG, City are still, I think they're going to be second because they've not had a penalty. But non-pen XG, they are flying high. Number 1, 9.34 in 5 games. They are averaging almost 2 non-penalty XG per game. I expect they'll average higher than 2 against Burnley. Now, this is really interesting. Erling Haaland, right? His non-pen XG is super high. He's 6.2, 6.3 XG, depending on what site you're using. That ranks him, this is amazing, non-penalty XG at 6.2. It ranks him behind Arsenal there in 7th. That's mad. There are 14 teams in the Premier League this season from Liverpool down. Liverpool, Spurs, Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham and co. All of those teams have lower non-penalty XG, and most of them lower XG in general, expected goals than Erling Haaland. He is outperforming 3/4, 2/3, in between the two somewhere, of the division. As an individual, that's mad. Again, this is a player in red-hot form. Another reason there, I think 0.6 is a really good one. Haaland beats 14 teams individually with his non-pen XG. That's bonkers. And then you look at the individual player stats. Obviously, he's going to be clearing away, right? Yeah, he is. Forget non-penalty, let's just go XG. Bruno's had a penalty, by the way. So again, he's second, and take that penalty off, he's even further down. This is mad. Haaland at 6.26. Bruno at 2.75, Semenyo at 2.73. They've both had pens. Mateta at 2.67, Gokres at 2.12. Erling Haaland is outperforming the other elite attackers in the division times 3. This is our moment, isn't it? And you're not going to hear a huge narrative of it from those on Wildcard. I'll tell you that for free. So, Team XG, Player XG, there's more. I like some of these arguments. I really do. It didn't take me long to come up with this list. I could have carried on. I wanted a top 10, right? Golden Boot race. I think he's a little bit bruised, Haaland. You look at last season, right? Salah, 29 league goals. Isak, 23. Haaland, the 22 there. Haaland expects to be winning Golden Boots. Yes, he had a couple of injuries, but he needs to put this right. Erling Haaland has an ego. Erling Haaland wants individual accolades as well as team accolades. And with that in mind, he sees fixtures like Burnley. This is where I eat, right? This is where I get my numbers up. I absolutely have no doubt he will use fixtures like Burnley to go, give me the ball, let me shoot, let me play 90. Some would argue, oh, could he come off early because the back? Well, he rarely comes off early. And yes, he had a back problem, but he needed the rest. He was in the red zone 3 games in 8 days against Arsenal. Well, he's now going to have no games in 6 days. I expect he's very, very fit, plays 90, and is hungry to add to his total. This is the perfect fixture for him. Let him feast. Let him get his hat trick. Again, I'm building this narrative up, but I genuinely see it. I really, really do. So Golden Boot race for me is another big one. Look, the opportunity to back against Wildcarders is a big one though, right? Like reasons why you should think about going triple captain Erling Haaland is you need an edge because the vast majority of managers out there, 75% are using a chip this week. 3% on free hit, 31% on Wildcard, 41% will go triple captain Haaland. But from the really engaged audience, I think we'll see more wildcards than triple captain. This was an X poll, but if you use Fantasy Football Scout, they're flipped. More on wildcard than triple captain by their polls on their website, because the vast majority of content creators are wildcarding. So content creators will tell you it's a great week to triple captain Erling Haaland. Of course they will, but they won't be doing it, and they probably won't be looking in this granular detail on it because they're on wildcard. And if you're on wildcard, you can't triple captain. Now, wildcard, sure, it's a great week to do it. I love the wildcard team this week. I myself have been tempted. But this is firstly, I like to play different anyway, and it just happens to be that I'm not going with the template strategy. The template strategy is wildcard 6, triple captain later down the line. No, not for me. I'll wildcard, maybe even in 7, but triple captain in 6 feels right. What we spoke about at the top of this show is so, so important. Those other windows just aren't as sexy, in my opinion, right? Now, point number 10. Yeah, I mean, look, it's unlikely we get a double game week. So when we look at those other windows, it's very unlikely we get a double. If we do get a double because the EFL Cup and Palace progressing, yes, there's a slim, slim chance. I think it's very, very unlikely. So if we're not getting a double game week before game week 19, and we rarely do, and by the way, if we do get a double, you can still use a free hit in that week or a wild card in that week, whatever. But it's very unlikely we get the double. So if we're looking at the single game weeks only, it's really slim pickings, guys. Like, it's proper slim pickings, isn't it? Like, Mo Salah would be great because Mo Salah, you go, I get the extra point for a goal, get a clean sheet point. You got more routes to points, arguably, with Salah, or higher points for his returns. The problem is Mo Salah's nowhere near as good as Erling Haaland at the minute. He might become better, but you've only got game week 12 and 14 in those fixtures. Game week 12 and 14 for Mo Salah, where he's got fixtures before game week 14, 3 days before a trip to London. Game week 12 off the back of the international break. Don't love it. Erling Haaland has the fixtures, and I do like that Leeds game in 13. It does come after Leverkusen in the Champions League. You're not going to get a full midweek rest for Erling Haaland in any of these games other than game week 6. And that, for me, together with Burnley's defensive numbers and Haaland's current form, and current form is important. He won't be putting up 6+ XG in blocks of 5 games much this season when he has started the season absolutely in style. And that is why I'm 90% sure I'm going triple captain Erling Haaland. I'll lock the decision in my team selection video. But guys, I'm pretty set on it. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. If you've enjoyed the video or learned anything today, you owe me a subscribe. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.